Jake versus Jacob. The day before Thanksgiving. Who's the real father of the turkey? Who's the really just king of Thanksgiving? We're about to find out. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to some daily workout commentary videos. I have nothing really further to say, so let's get right into it. It's gonna be a benching workout as promised. And the idea is, can CrossFitters really bench that well? So, we're off in 3, 2, 1, hitting it, or getting it. Sorry, wow, said that wrong. Anyway, so first of all, what is the actual workout? The workout is 3 rounds. Every 3 minutes, we're starting a new round. So essentially, it's 9 minutes of straight work, right? 3 rounds of 75 double unders, 20 double dumbbell bench press of 50 pounds in each hand, and then 15 toes to bar. Then with the time remaining in that 3-minute interval, you're doing as many calories as possible rowing. So when Jake and I first looked at this workout, we thought it might be like, 40 to 50 seconds worth of work on the rower of rowing, but we were wrong. We were dead wrong. We spent a lot of time on the rower, the first and second round. So, one thing I want to talk about in this workout, and we'll get to the scaling options at the end, is the idea of bench press, like for CrossFitters, right? So, as CrossFitters, we don't normally bench press, and I think there's a good place for it. I think there's a bad place for it. One main reason I think I wish I wouldn't have bench pressed as much in college and in high school is because it tends to form a lot of muscles or get really strong in this I'm not an anatomy major, in the front of your body, right? Up here in the front. So anterior, I think is the idea of it. And so really what happens is my bench press, my ability to bench press that I've done for years and years in college and also in high school does not really help my overhead mobility because I tend to be really, really tight right here. And so my body's used to pushing the bar here, right, out in front. So I'm used to pushing the bar here, not necessarily here, which is, in terms of CrossFit, we tend to put a barbell over our head, in a jerk and a snatch, much more than we do put the barbell here, right? I mean, it's totally understated. It's a lot of overhead and hardly any here, and it's just like, maybe like a push-up or a bench press. So I found that when it comes to me doing overhead movements like a jerk, push press, strict press, I tend to push the bar out in front. So instead of going, straight overhead with the bar tends to go here because I have a lot of strength in the front of my body from years and years of bench press. So for those of you that are kind of like me, one thing I highly recommend is working on loosening up the front of your body. Grab yourself a lacrosse ball, work on loosening this up. And honestly, I would stay away from bench as much as you can. Like, there's nothing wrong with bench pressing. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not sitting here gonna go on a tirade with like, oh, bench press is stupid. Like, don't ever use it. It's a dumb idea. There's definitely a rhyme and a reason for doing a bench press. I mean, heck, we've used it in regionals. We've used it in the team series. Maybe we'll use it in the games one year. Who knows? But nothing wrong with doing a bench press probably like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. But I wouldn't focus on it so much that your overhead mobility tends to suffer. So if you're like me and you've bench pressed a lot, focus on loosening up the front of your body a lot and then also working on overhead mobility. One great tool I've used to increase that has been just a lot of just bandage stretch overhead and and that's really helped out quite a bit. To open up my overhead mobility. Because, when it comes from other sports like football where I came from or maybe even baseball or other sports like that, we don't tend to have a whole lot of overhead mobility and it's an uphill battle, especially if we bench press often. So, like I mentioned, can CrossFitters bench? We're probably pretty decent at it. We're not great at it, but I would be careful of doing it too much because it tends to have a negative effect from my perspective on overhead mobility unless you're really focusing on working your overhead mobility at the same time you are bench pressing. So just my ideas, take it or leave it. Those are just my thoughts. It's been a long road for me and I'm still working on making sure I put my head through the window for a jerk and not, like I'm jerking like this and the bar is out in front. You guys have seen that probably hundreds of times from me. So anyways, this workout was some good scaling options for you guys if you guys try to do this workout. Again, it's a quick 3-minute burner. The idea is you keep working and we're gonna end with the row and you're gonna see, can you push the row, still come back and continue to do the workout. And so from my perspective, I've never really been great at monostructural work. So being able to focus on a row at the end of a workout has been hugely beneficial to me. I mean, for instance, this is essentially what 20.5 looked like, right? So you did all this work in 20.5 of muscle ups of wall balls. And then if you got into the end, depending upon how you broke it up, you had an 80 cal row at the end, if you broke it up like me, and it was time to hammer the row. So, never been great at a rowing and monostructural work, and so we're trying to work on, and this is one good reason for it, or one good way of doing it. So, scaling options, like I keep saying, but I never actually get to it. If you can't do double unders, do single unders. 1-to-1 ratio is fine. There's no reason to punish you with more single unders. That's stupid. Dumbbell bench press. Obviously, if the ladies are doing 20 at 35 pounds, if you're a male and 50 pounds is too heavy, if you're a male and you can't do 20 unbroken dumbbell bench press in the first round, like you just can't do it in the first round, not the second or third round, you might fall apart and that's fine, but you can't even do 20 unbroken in the first round at 50, drop the weight, maybe do a 35, maybe do a 40, do whatever you think is necessary. That's hard, but you can at least do the first 20 unbroken. And the same can be said for women, right? If you ladies are doing a 35 pound, you're like, okay, the first round I have to break this up, drop the weight. Maybe go to like a 20, 25, something where you can do the first round 20 unbroken. Maybe the second and third round you're gonna blow up and you can't do it, as you'll see Jake do in this round, upcoming round. But the goal is to be the first 20 unbroken, go as hard as you can, right? You don't wanna get there and be like, okay, I'm gonna break this up in 4 sets of 5. That's not the purpose of this sprint. I want you to go hard, right? Toes the bar. Actually, the first time we wrote this workout, it was supposed to be chest to bar, but Jake's grip was already kind of fried, and chest to bar really blows him up even more than toes to bar. I couldn't tell you why. Don't ask me why Jake's grip blows up on chest to bar and not toes to bar. To me, it's the same thing, but I digress. Anyways, so we decided to change it to toes to bar as I go out of frame right now. And so for you guys are doing it at home, if you can't do toes to bar, you can do like ab mat sit-ups is completely fine. Ab mat sit-ups is fine. Maybe knees to elbow is fine. Whatever you need to do to get it done. 1-to-1 ratio is fine too. So if you're doing if you can't do toes to bar, 15 ab mat sit-ups is perfectly okay. And then of course rowing should be fine. I would say keep the reps the same. If you, for instance, are getting the rower with the first round, you get in the rower and you only have 20 seconds, 10 seconds left to row, you did something wrong. You might need to drop the reps a little bit here and there to make sure you have at least probably 40 seconds worth of rowing. It should be 40 seconds of going hard and then, trying to transition back to the double unders, right? So anyways, we're in the last round right here. Here's where Jake kind of blew up. I mean, honestly, dumbbell bench press is a lot different. So if you're a CrossFitter and you're gonna bench press, right? I would actually highly recommend doing a lot of dumbbell bench press or tempo bench press over just doing regular bench press. Regular bench press is great, don't get me wrong. And if it's gonna be in regionals, or RIP, if it's gonna be in sanctionals or at the games, it probably will be a barbell bench press because it's a little bit easier to judge and work with. But dumbbell bench press is highly underrated because the fact it's singular arm movement, right? It's an isolated movement on each arm. So you can't hide weaknesses. So for instance, my left arm is not as strong as my right arm. So if you watch me bench press heavy or probably do a combine workout where I'm benching maybe 100 kilos or 225 pounds for reps as many as I can, you might see kind of go off kilter, right, on the bench press because my one arm is stronger than the other arm. And that's likely, that happens in athletes. That's not something that's a freak thing, that does happen. But in a dumbbell bench press, like I'm talking about, you can't depend on the other arm to pick up slack for your weak arm. Instead, you have to push through with your weak arm and do the same amount of work. So it's a great movement and a great tool to make sure you're doing the same amount of work regardless. So if you are a CrossFitter and you do want to bench press, I highly recommend trying a dumbbell bench press. And if you've done that quite a bit, a good sub in is eccentric or concentric movements with bench press. I know we do that quite often. So we will, maybe slow down the tempo bench press for a barbell or a dumbbell on the way down to kind of focus on a good quality movement instead of, bouncing off the chest per se. So yeah, so there we go. I think I finished with 50 something calories. We'll see, I'll say it in just a second. All right, did the first round. I think I was 27 calories and you were 34. Got back for the second round. Put the rowers at a 10-minute clock so that it would keep counting time. We could just keep counting cumulative calories. We came back for the second round. Did a couple pulls. Mine dropped to 21 cals. Yours dropped to 21 cals.
Mine dropped
20?
from 34 to 21, so 13 calories total.
Yeah, 21 cals, that's what I said.
Oh,
yeah, yeah. So 13 cals dropped on his, 7 on mine.
Yeah.
So just kept rowing, but fun little workout.
Yeah, spicy on the grip, on the arms, chasing the pump.
Yeah, Jay just wanted to get a pump today, I guess.
Trying to feel more veins popping. They aren't really there right now.
He just wants to get really veiny, really jacked for his wife.
Yeah, I'm really going the caffeine route and dehydrating myself. It doesn't really work.